each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us, and remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
Sober Freaky Friday. Friday the 14th. Oh no. Not the 14th. Hello. I hope everybody's having a good day. My day is, it got really busy really quickly. Hi, Michelle. Have I taken my meds today? I have not taken my meds today. Some fish oil, my heart meds, lowers my blood pressure, so I don't go run around punching people in the throat. All right, done. Meds are done. It's because I didn't do my usual stuff. I went to go buy some cigarettes and grab some ice. I had to end up giving the ice away because I didn't come straight home. I went outside to get the ice, and there was this kid sitting out there. I'd probably say late 20s, early 30s. And all I did was I said, how you doing? And we just started talking. And I told him, I'm not going to presume that you're on drugs or drinking or anything like that, but you look for help? That's when his girlfriend came out, right? And we started talking. And in fact, the manager came out of the gas station. He's like, you guys can't hang out here. And, no loitering. And, he's just doing his job. And he wasn't a dick about it. He was, in fact, you could tell that he was really nervous doing it because he didn't want to remove people from it, but that he's going to get fired if he doesn't do his job, right? And I said, hey, I really understand. I'm actually trying to help them. We'll probably be out of here in about 10 minutes. If you could just give me a little bit of time to try and help these folks out, I would appreciate it. And he's like, yeah, you could, yeah. And thank you. Because I'm doing something about it. Made one phone call, got it done. I had to go pick up some of their stuff. A couple bicycles. They just gone to the food bank. But the place that I took them, they don't need food. They give you food. And when we do these things, when we get out of ourselves and we do these things, see, I wasn't the only person that got something out of it. I had a sponsee that I had to meet at noon. I wasn't able to do it till 2:00. They were willing to wait a little bit longer so I could do this. So that's another person who got out of self. The people at Sober Living that helped me unpack the car. The people working at Sober Living that now have, 2 clients. And, when I was getting ready to leave, she's like, I stink, but I want a hug. Well, I'll give you a hug. I'm like, I'd probably stink too. I wasn't sniffing her, so I don't know. But now these two, and they were a couple, and I made sure that they stayed together too. Now, see, we can pull this stuff off. Right? They're not going to be in the same house, but they'll see each other every day. They'll see each other, and they've tried before, and neither one had really done anything for 4 or 5 days. Now was a good time. Now they get to sleep in a normal bed tonight. They get to sleep in a regular bed without having to worry about whether their shit's going to be stolen or somebody's going to come along and arrest them for loitering. They get to eat and take a shower tonight. See, what I've done is I've increased their chances by at least 30% to stay sober. Yes. And now I don't usually talk about a lot of this stuff, and I started last week telling you what I kind of do on a daily basis. This is how my life runs. I got a call this morning, Dion. We tried to take somebody to detox. They said we had to take them to the hospital. They were kind of rude. I got that taken care of. Even better, now this young lady, I know her mother's worried about her. Now she gets to call her and tell her she's in a safe place. Now her mother gets to sleep tonight. Now her two kids who's over at her sister's house get to fucking sleep tonight. Because I took some time out of my day to help out. In fact, those kids might even get to see their mother by Christmas. Yes. I love doing this work. I love doing it. So I'm probably a lot more elated about it than you guys are. It's one of those, when you're involved in it, it feels a little different, right? But this is what we do, and I do it on the daily basis. Welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. I'm going to tell you something too. I usually take my car because I have a stick and I like to go vroom vroom and look kind of cool and play my radio and it's warm out. But I didn't have gas. So I took my wife's car and I ended up needing it because my car would not have held all their stuff. See? That was nothing but God. The whole thing, and they had it all planned right down to which car keys I was taking. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. Say hi, you rewatchers. I know you're out there. I don't know your name, but I know you're out there. All right. I've been hearing a lot of people with a lot of problems lately. A lot of problems, and they vary. A lot of different problems. Right? It did not give me everything. That's all right. I don't really need it this time. All right. The answer to almost everything is getting out of self. The more you stay in you and your brain, the worse the problem's going to get. You're either going to shoulda, coulda, woulda yourself because it's already over, or you're going to future trip. You're going to what if it. All right. I have found that when Dion gets out of his own way, the answers show up naturally. Naturally. See, this morning I asked God for guidance. I'm like, do you want me to go this route where I'm, kind of put my foot up people's butts, or do you have something else? And he clearly had something else for me today. All right. I've already made, whenever I tell you now, what's the best way? When I work with a place, I'm a catalyst. Right. I went and toured their sober living yesterday. I've already had contact with them 4 times because they need answers. And I'm a person with answers. If I don't have the answer, I know where the answer is. And if they don't have the answer, then I'm going to go find the answer. I'm going to let everybody know the answer. It's about communication. We got to keep this stuff open. Now they trust me a little bit more. Okay. And I can go to sleep tonight knowing that these 2 people have a much better place to live. That they're happy. Or not necessarily happy. It's better. But safe. It's hard to sleep when you got to watch your back. It's hard to sleep when you got to watch your back. We're going to go to working with others. Practical experience shows that nothing will so much ensure immunity from drinking, bad thinking, pride, ego, depression, PTSD, anxiety, your obsession to drink, all of it. Nothing so much ensures immunity from all of that as intensive work with other alcoholics. Intensive work. We're going to go look up the word intensive. Michelle says, good job. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. And I do. If you guys want to tell me good job and stuff, I do appreciate it. I already, God's given my gifts, but it's always nice to know that it's always kind of cool to know that your friends got your back, right? Intensive. Concentrated on a single area or subject into a short time. Very thorough. Right? So when we sit down with somebody, we're going to be thorough. I just got done speaking. I just got done with a sponsee. We covered step 1 and we hit on every single point. Utilized the 12 by 12 on this one, and I went over every single word in that. Intensive. Means we got to get down to causes and conditions. We've got to talk about things, the harder things, the things that they weren't willing to talk about before. And why can we do that? Because they get they'll be frustrated too. I'm so tired of saying this over and over again. Well, it's going to die with you, huh? With you, it doesn't need to go anywhere else because you understand. You've been there. You've been there. All right. It works when other activities fail. Don't even bother with the other activities then. Don't bother with the other activities. I'll tell you the one place a lot of people make the mistake here. What they usually go to, a gratitude list. Now, I'm not cutting down gratitude, nor am I putting down gratitude lists. There's a time and a place for them. Absolutely. First thing in the morning is usually the best time for me because that's when I'm grumpiest, right? I have a problem. Things are going bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go write about myself. No, that's still you being in you. Get out of self. You got to get out of you. So you can either write a gratitude list, or you can have gratitude for doing a good job. You're going to want the second one. If you want the first one, go for it. I'll take the second one. And I'll take it for you. I don't mind. Because I know the consequences of that, and they're very, very good. This is our 12th suggestion. Carry this message to other alcoholics. You can help when no one else can. You can secure their confidence when others fail. Remember, they are very ill. I don't know why I can instill trust in people so darn fast, but I can. And it's right here because I can secure their confidence when others fail. I can help when no one else can. So can you. All right. And then they're going to go into the 12-step promises. Life will take on new meaning. To watch people recover. To see them help others. Right now, I got a couple sponsees that are taking on sponsors or taking on other sponsees. Yeah. I'm watching them change. Now they're moving into a different kind of role, and they're handling it very, very well. I'm excited for both of them. To watch loneliness vanish. I got to watch this earlier. Now, these two had each other, thank God, or I think they both of them would probably be long gone. I could tell that they were very tight. They've been through some stuff together. And he was a good guy. He seemed like a good guy. Probably has a meth problem. And you know what happens there, right? But even then, when I was leaving, their eyes were shining because they were happy because something was happening in their life. They weren't expecting this today. They thought that they were going to get kicked out of where they were at and stuff. So I got to watch loneliness vanish. Yeah. To see a fellowship grow up about you, to have a host of friends. This is an experience you must not miss. We know you will not want to miss it. Frequent contact with newcomers and with each other is the bright spot of our lives. You want the sunlight of the Spirit? You want to stand in the sunlight of the Spirit and feel it? Go do intensive work with other alcoholics. Okay. Let's put on our courage pants. Okay. In grassroots, we ask the question, is anybody here need a sponsor? We don't ask who here is willing to sponsor. We're all willing to sponsor in that group, or we wouldn't be in that group. In fact, if you're not willing to sponsor at some point, probably not even really going to hang out in the group, honestly. It's not. Because I was not taught. This is how I was not taught. I was not taught to sit there and wait for somebody to come up and ask me to sponsor them. Do you know how many people have asked me? I could count them on one hand. Of course, I don't raise my hand and say I'm willing to sponsor. See, I'm the recovered alcoholic. I'm the one whose intuition is working, and I've got to rely on that. Well, and people are, well, they got to be willing. If you showed up to a meeting and you're sobbing and you're raising your hand saying, I'm so and so, I'm an alcoholic, gosh, isn't that willingness enough? It is in my book. Okay. It's one thing about AA that I don't agree with everything in AA. I'm not required to. But it's one thing that I will stand on that rock. I will. Right. And I teach my sponsees how to find sponsees. I went to a meeting for 2 years. 2 years, and they just let me flounder. It almost killed me. It almost killed me. When anyone anywhere reaches out for help, I want the hand of AA to be there. For that, I'm responsible. It doesn't say when I find somebody willing enough and deem them worthy enough that I will sponsor them. No, that's not what it says. I know part of the problem is fear. It's fear. It's because you haven't done the work and you haven't. So therefore, you don't move on to the next thing. I know what it is. Or fear. Well, I don't want to interfere with their lives. I don't want something to happen to put it, have it come back to me. Did your sponsor not talk to you about this stuff? You couldn't even get yourself sober, your own life in order. You think that's what you're doing for someone else? No. You're a guide. And I tell all my sponsees this. I'm not going to tell you what to do. What I'm going to do is give you all the information so you can make good decisions. I tell you how to live your life, how to run it. I'm going to eat up your time during the day. You're going to need to learn a little bit of delayed gratification. Right? I'm different. I give no homework on steps 1, 2, and 3. Ever. I don't. I was taught not to do that. Well, I wasn't taught not to do that. It just didn't happen that way with me. Okay? I see why people are doing it. Absolutely, I do. But when I give somebody homework, then I'm probably not covering the first 63 pages with them. And gee, where's the intensive work? If we don't cover this, okay, you want to know the first thing I read with a new sponsee? Page 21. It's the first place we go. And I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this, and you let me know if you hear yourself in there. And when we're done, it's always, yep, 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 yep. I heard, I was all over that. Yep, there's me and me. Now they're convinced that at alcohol. I ask a couple questions. Do you feel like you're powerless over alcohol? Yeah. Why? Well, this is happening, that's happening, and this. Okay. Do you feel your life is unmanageable? And this is where you can get into a little sticky wicket. Well, I still, they're gonna think certain things like they're, just because they have a couple of material things in there. Well, I still have a couple of cars in my house. My wife hasn't kicked me out. These are yets. These are the yets. Well, my life was like that too. This is what it all comes down to, is the bedevilments, right? We were having trouble with personal relationships. We couldn't control our emotional natures. We were a prey to misery and depression. We couldn't make a living. We had a feeling of uselessness. We were full of fear. We were unhappy. We couldn't seem to be of real help to others. Now, are you feeling that way at all, Mr. New Guy? Are you? Okay. So now I'm going to ask you again. Do you feel like your life is unmanageable? Oh, yeah, I do. Congratulations. You're done with step one. Good job. Yeah, that quick. No. See, we've already spent an hour them telling me how bad their life is and why they're talking to me. It is not my job to pound into the brain of another person. Okay. What my job is to let them know their malady. That is my job. Okay. Perhaps you're not acquainted with any drinkers who want to recover. Okay. Now, we're not we're not talking meeting. Okay. If we're talking meeting, this is too late. This is what happens. This is how people get into AA. You can easily find some by asking a few doctors, ministers, priests, or hospitals. Does your primary care physician know that you are a recovered alcoholic and that they can hand out your phone number anytime? They probably won't because of HIPAA, but have you done it? When I go, like if I have to go to the emergency room, I make sure everybody there knows what I do. I will find the charge nurse and have a conversation with them. I got to sit in the waiting room anyway. I might as well help someone. And I do that by taking my coin and letting it fall into the thing because you got to go through the metal detector and stuff. Absolutely. Everywhere I go, people know what I do. Now, even people at the gas station up the street know what I do. They don't know my name, but they know that there's this guy that's running around helping people. They know that. Right? Does my priest know? Yep, sure do. Every hospital around here, even Community Reach Center and some other places, they know who I am. Right? And in this last week, twice I have heard this in the last week. This came up and you were the first person I thought of. That's what I need. Good. Good that I'm going to take care of you. Michelle says, yes, my doctor knows this about me. Woohoo! Good job, Michelle. I knew you were doing it. All right. They will be only too glad to assist. Okay. Now, when you make this approach, it might be a little bit more difficult. Tell them I am not a recovery coach. I'm not a peer support specialist. I'm none of that. I'm just a person who wants to help. I'm from a 12-step group and I just want to help. You will get further. Make sure you say that. Make sure you qualify yourself first. Okay? Because unfortunately, the bullies fucked up the playground a little bit. I'll just put it that way. All right. Now, don't start out as an evangelist or reformer. Don't be going in going, hallelujah, we're here to save the drunks. We're going to heal you. We're going to heal you. No, don't do that. Hey, you'll be handicapped if you do. Ministers and doctors are competent, and you can learn much from them if you wish. I've learned a lot from different pastors, ministers, doctors, lawyers. Yeah, I've learned a lot. That's how I know about the whole clinical. That's why I know a lot about the clinical side because I ask a lot of questions. What do you think of this? What do you know? And I tell you right now, 90% of the people that work in the field think that you are born with alcoholism. And I believe that too. I believe it. All right. But it happens that because of your own drinking experience, you can be uniquely useful to other alcoholics. So cooperate, never criticize. To be helpful is our only aim. You don't need to be more than that. Right? You don't need to run around being a super promoter. You don't need. Let's put it this way, because you folks know this. I like being the center of attention. I do. And I hate it at the same time, just so you know. but it gives me something to gripe about. That's why I hate it. That's like people calling me precocious. And that means that I'm smarter than my age. People don't call me that anymore. Right. But yeah. So when you discover a prospect for Alcoholics Anonymous, find out all you can about him. If he does not want to stop drinking, don't waste your time trying to persuade him. You may spoil a later opportunity. This advice is given for the family. Also, they should be patient, realizing they are dealing with a sick person. All right. Now, I have some sayings like you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink, but you can shove his fucking head in there and make him wish he did. I say this out of pure love. I just did it today. I do it all the time. I do it here all the time. How do I do it? By telling you the truth. By being rigorously honest with myself and doing that here, admitting when I'm wrong. Right? Now, if you have someone and they were willing to talk to you, but they don't think that they have a drinking problem, don't push it. Maybe leave a little bit of literature. There's great literature in AA. Ones that are you an alcoholic, and this could be very non-evasive way for them to figure it out. Okay, because when it comes to mental health and mental illnesses, okay, self-diagnosis is very, very wrong unless it's alcoholism or addiction. Then self-diagnosis is the only true diagnosis. You're not an alcoholic till you say you're an alcoholic. Before that, you have an alcohol use disorder. Right? So don't try and convince you. Because what do we want? Well, maybe a couple months later, that, oh man, every time it happens, that person that stopped by detox, how come I think of them every time I go to drink? Oh, because they were right. Maybe they were right about where did he say to go? Now it was Alcoholics Anonymous, right? And then you go to Google, see? I don't know how many times I've seen people come in that I've talked to years later. I've had people approach me and say, Dion, you talked to me once. I wasn't ready, but I knew where to go. So thank you for that. Yeah. I'm going to do everything that I can to ruin your drinking career, except piss you off. No. Then I've made an enemy. That's not patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love. That's power and control. And I'm not that person anymore. If they don't want what I have right now, that's okay. Guarantee this person does. Just keep trying. Okay. Because as a sponsor, I am 100% successful. I'm still sober. That is the only success rate that I have as a sponsor because I can't get other people sober and keep them sober. That is between them and their higher power. Right? If there is any indication he wants to stop, have a good talk with the person most interested in him, usually his wife. Right? You're not always going to get this chance. This is how I start with basic questions. Where'd you grow up? Are you from here? From Colorado? It's a great place to start because they're going to start their life story. They're going to go back to the beginning. Oh, like somebody asked me today, you're from Colorado? I'm like, no, originally I'm from Utah. I moved here in 1979. So I grew up in Utah, but otherwise I've lived here the rest of my life. See, I've already started to think back, haven't I? Where'd you go to high school? Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know where that high school is at. Yeah, I went to Heritage High School, kind of, you know how it is, right? And where are you having a conversation? I started drinking at 13. How old were you? Yeah, this is what kind of happened. Yeah. So look, we kind of have the same story here. You were put in group homes too? Yeah, dude, I was out of control. My parents, now I'm onto something. You're gonna you might even have to ask some hard questions. Okay. But present them lightly. What's the big one? God. God. Ask what they do. Now, here are some main questions you want to ask. Okay. Are you married? Do you have children? Why are we doing that? This is the part of the you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink, but you can shove his head in. This is where I'm shoving his head in. Yeah, kids. Okay. I used it earlier too. Wouldn't it be great if, like, you saw your kids by Christmas? It's possible. Who knows? But you got to do something about it today. Uh, you want to know the best gift I ever gave my mommy? I got sober. Now she doesn't, and I used this one earlier. And I say mommy because I want you to feel 2 years old. I'm going to bring you in with me. Right. And even the young lady said earlier, she's like, that's cool. I get to call my mom tonight. Will they let me call my mom? I'm like, yeah, they're going to let you call your mom. Oh, cool. Good. I can tell her what's going on. I haven't talked to her in like a week and a half. Could you imagine what her mother's going through? What are you doing? You're making them accountable. If they got kids, oh man, kids are a great way to get somebody sober. But if you have it stuck in your head that you got to get sober for yourself, none of this will work. So you need to get over the fact that there is no such thing as rock bottom. It doesn't exist. There is your bottom. It's the only valid one. If there was rock bottom, then why it just doesn't work. It was just made up because it's fun to say rock bottom because it gives it oomph. It gives it a designation. But when you think of rock bottom, what do you think of? Tell me. Yeah, paper bag, Skid Row under a bridge, huh? That's what you're thinking. Did you go that far? Did you go that far? Then other people don't need to either. I did at 17. I was doing that at 17. Not for long, thank God. Right? So you're going to want to get to know this person. Right? I know there's probably more than this, but it's just me and Michelle, so we're hanging out. And thanks for hanging out, Michelle. I appreciate it. Amber's driving down the mountain, so I'm actually glad she's not listening because I don't want to. And she hasn't eaten yet, so she'd be grumpy anyway. Get an idea of his behavior, his problems, his background, the seriousness of his condition, his religious leanings. You need this information to put yourself in his place, see how you would like him to be approached if the tables were turned. So it used to be that many people didn't really know what AA did, but I'm going to tell you now, they're going to know that God's involved. So this is a sales technique, and you can use it. Just bring it up. Bring up all rebuttals in your pitch. Right? That's what I was taught. And I make it so light. This is how I do it. Okay. There is no right or wrong answer here to this next question. Okay. I just need to know where you are at so I know which way to help you. And that's 100% true. How do you feel about God or a higher power? You can even say it that way. How do you feel about looking for a higher power? Okay. And they're going to give you an answer because alcoholics are opinionated and they like to talk about themselves. Right? Couple other rules. Meet with somebody when they are alone. Okay. You do not need to have you. Okay. Alcoholics, we do not do interventions. We do not do those. Okay. That is a skill that is taught. Okay. And I don't do interventions. They're really fucking hard. There's a hump that I just can't seem to get over. All right. I'm going to go to page 96. Michelle says, I need this because today I decide I need to revise the way I sponsor. No one wants the home. I'm happy. Michelle, I am more than happy to sit down with you and show you how I sponsor. You don't have to use my techniques and stuff, but I can show you what order and stuff I go in. I'd be happy to do that for you. All right. Suppose you are making your second visit to a man. He has read this volume and says he's prepared to go through with the 12 steps of the program of recovery. Having had the experience yourself, you can give him much practical advice. Let him know if you are available if he wishes to make a decision, tell his story. Do not insist upon it if he prefers to consult someone else. Right? I kind of got to wrap this up. I didn't notice the time. Here is another point that I'd like to make, though. 101. In our belief, any scheme of combating alcoholism which proposes to shield the sick man from temptation is doomed to fail. If the alcoholic tries to shield himself, he may succeed for a time, but he usually winds up with a bigger explosion than ever. We have tried these methods. These attempts to do the impossible have always failed. So our rule is not to avoid a place where there is drinking if we have a legitimate reason for being there. Right? So we cannot protect the alcoholic because an alcoholic needs to become neutral. Right? All right. I'm going to just go to page 103 here, and we're going to wrap up because I need to run another errand and I got to start a meeting in an hour. So we're careful never to show intolerance or hatred of drinking as an institution. Experience shows that such an attitude is not helpful to anyone, right? So it's true. You can't hate alcohol. Now, even then, sometimes I kind of ride, let me put it this way, because we have AA, we have Celebrate Recovery, we have Smart Recovery, we have Wellbriety, we have, and even Dharma, I'm not hearing the best stuff. Okay. We don't need to be putting down these groups. Now, maybe you had a bad experience in Celebrate Recovery. Not every Celebrate Recovery meeting is like that. Not every AA meeting is like that. So we got to be careful of our intolerances too. Not everybody has the best experience, and that sucks. It does. It does. But I didn't give up. I went and created my own home group. It was the answer. So at the same time, it also depends on the different levels and things like that. So every new alcoholic looks for this spirit among us and is immensely relieved when he finds out we are not witch burners. A spirit of intolerance might repel alcoholic whose lives could have been saved had it not been for such stupidity. We would not even do the cause of temperate drinking any good, for not one drinker in 1,000 likes to be told anything about alcohol by one who hates it. All right. For a long time, it doesn't seem to happen as much now. But I used to say there's nothing worse than an ex-smoker. Those are the people, oh, you should quit. You need to do this. You need to do that. Fuck off. Well, you know how bad it is for you. You know how bad it is to continue telling me what to do. You know how bad for your health that's going to be. So, yeah, we can't have a spirit of intolerance. Nobody forced alcohol down my throat, not even alcohol. Nobody did that to me. I did it to myself. Right. And we only want to hate alcohol so that it's no longer in our lives. But if we hate alcohol, you're going to go back to it. Do this. Forgive it. Forgive it for what it did to you. Then you can move past the hate. Someday we hope that alcoholics, we already did that. After all, our problems were of our own making. Bottles were only a symbol. Besides, we have stopped fighting anything or anybody. We have to. So, all right. I really need to pee and I need to run some errands. So, thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out.